What is going on, everybody? I'm feeling a bit under the weather. That's why I didn't upload yesterday. So today's video, I figured we'd do something a little bit more chill. And I'm going to try my best to talk through this. Sorry if I sound congested. I am sick. But with this upcoming season ending and next season getting ready to start over the next day or two, I figured we should take a look back at the Suicide Squad season. We can go ahead and make a tier list on how this season turned out. I am not including the Zod leader in this. We may update our leader tier list at some point and get Zod in there somewhere. So, how are we going to do this tier list? This is going to be in the context of these cards in general. Meaning, if I put, let's say, Welcome to Task Force X in S tier, it does not mean it is an S tier card in the grand scheme of the game. It is an S tier card for in the context of this season. Now, how it works in the game, we'll obviously be judging, because you can't be an S tier card if you don't get play anywhere. But that is, I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that you can be an S tier card for in the context of this season without being an S tier card in Dual Force as a whole. But we'll be providing context for all that stuff as we go. So, first card that we're going to talk about here is a Cranial Explosion. This guy recently got a buff. It was destroy a Suicide Squad recruit to give your Suicide Squad recruits everywhere +2 attack. It has been changed to just destroy a sacrifice a friendly recruit. So it got a good amount better. It's still pretty slow. And I also just don't think there's enough critical density of Suicide Squad cards for this to really shine too much quite yet. And then having the dream scenario of like hitting Welcome to Task Force X into Cranial Explosion, while decent, is still like bordering magical fantasy land. So we're going to put this one in C tier for now because it can get pretty good. It's just, it needs a lot more support to get there. Now, on the subject of Cranial Explosion, let's go ahead and take a look at Welcome to Task Force X. I'm actually going to zoom in on this just a tad bit more. Welcome to Task Force X turns all recruits. Well, first it buffs all recruits, all Suicide Squad recruits in your deck, and then it turns all recruits in your deck to Suicide Squad recruits. This one, again, it works great if you can guarantee you draw it on turn 1 or 2. If you cannot, this becomes a very, very bad draw in a hurry. It has, again, some magical Fantasyland implications with Cranial Explosive. But ultimately, I think it's just too inconsistent to matter, and I'd rather just play more Suicide Squad recruits in my deck. So we're going to place that one in D tier. I'd much rather than just print more Suicide Squad support than turn my deck into Suicide Squad if I go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, we're not quite there yet. Next up, we're going to take a look at Rick Flag. He is a hidden card. He is a silver 5/5, and he gives all of your Suicide Squad recruits +2 attack and hidden. Now, this card is interesting because Rick Flag is a good card, but he is completely lacking support. He is the kind of quintessential kind of card that you would want to have in a deck with like Welcome to Task Force X, so that you can turn the rest of your tactics cards into Suicide Squad recruits, making his ability more reliable, more consistent, because otherwise you're really just hoping that you draw all of your Anarchy, or whatever, if you choose Tyranny, whatever your partnering faction is, you want to draw all of those Suicide Squad recruits, but then also just draw Rick Flag from Tactics. And if you're drawing too many of your Tactics cards, he can get awkward in a hurry. But overall, I think Rick Flag is a pretty strong card that just needs more support. Like, if there's more Suicide Squad recruit options in Tactics, I think he gets a lot better. So, like, in practice, like, with the way he works in the game right now, he's probably C tier, but I think I want to put him in B tier because his power level is B tier power level. He just does not have enough other support yet. Next up, we're going to take a look at Harley Quinn, the Bronze Recruit. I think this is probably one of the better cards from the set. And that's because it just kind of does its job on its own. It has Inmate and Suicide Squad tags, so it is strong outside of Suicide Squad because Inmates are already pretty good. A Bronze 3/3 is already pretty good. And most of the other cards you're going to be playing in Anarchy, even if you're not going all in on Suicide Squad, you're going to be playing a lot of overlapping cards. Even if you're just playing, Partners in Crime, that's 2 potential cards that can be used to buff this recruit. I think she's only going to get better. She has Inmate synergy, she has Suicide Squad synergy, and she's strong, and she's a solid bronze. she's probably like top of A, bottom of S tier, but we're going to put her in S tier just because she is very, very strong. And she kind of just gets better the more cards that get printed. As inmates get better, Harley gets better. As Suicide Squad gets better, Harley gets better. If they both get better, she gets even better. So it's just going to be a continuous kind of ascension for her, unless she gets power crept by other bronzes. Next up, we've got Killer Croc. He is a 7/4 with Chaotic, and whenever a friendly Suicide Squad recruit dies, he makes a bonus attack. Now, his 4 health makes him a little awkward because his bonus attack can mean he just kind of dies. But if you can set a correct board state up, he can be pretty decent. I just think he's a little awkward to make work at the moment. And the other synergies for him of like Supersonic Sucker Punch or things like that, I think if you have a board where you can set up killing your Suicide Squad recruits in a particular way for Killer Croc to get maximum value, Bloodsport probably does something similar better. Now, I think Killer Croc has a home at some point. I just think with the 4 health, you have better things you want to be doing at Silver to set up a bonus attack, because, you know, he needs to survive to be able to be making bonus attacks on the next turn. He might be like bottom B, top C. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Killer Croc, but I think he's just a little awkward enough where I don't love him. Next up, we've got Starro. I believe I said in my preview that I thought Starro was going to wind up being kind of the king of the set, and I think it's true. The only thing stopping Starro at the moment from seeing more play is that Tyranny has so many good gold options, but even still, I see Starro make his way into a lot of decks. Even if it's just a one-of, Starro can be very, very solid. Cheating him out early, getting him out on gold 1, you know, you're very rarely unhappy to see Starro. I think the only thing stopping him from being a full S is that there are so many other good Tyranny cards that kind of bump him down a touch, because you have to choose between running, you know, Ladama got nerfed, but, you know, Dama, Starro, Darkseid, Brainiac. Tyranny has a lot of good gold cards, and sometimes Starro just doesn't make the cut. But in general, I think he is quite strong. He might be bottom S, top of A type of scenario, but we're going to put him in A for now because we have nothing in A, and now I like the way that the list looks all nice and almost uniform. Next up, we've got Amanda Waller, who before, you know, last week, I probably would have put in like D tier. 1-2 with her ability is just kind of meh, especially because a lot of these Suicide Squad decks, they don't have enough cards, like in general, to warrant having your entire deck. There's not enough density, and they're not really a value deck. They kind of try and play more aggressively. So getting value off of Waller's ability didn't really do a ton for you. However, now that she's a 3-2 with Hidden, I think she got quite a bit better. I think enough to put her into B tier. A 3-2 with Hidden, I play Nightshade in a decent amount of decks, and she's pretty solid. Being able to dictate your trades with your bronze is pretty good, and then any value you get from her now after that is pretty solid. Before, she was just essentially a dead card that you got value from sometimes. Now she is a solid fighting bronze that you can get additional value from, and I think that is enough to bump her up. She might even be above Rick Flag for now, but I think Rick has more future potential. But we'll give her the bump because she is good now. Next up, we've got Bloodsport. Bloodsport, I think, is kind of similar to Rick Flag, although he is in a faction that has Suicide Squad support. Just in my experience with Bloodsport, his ability is incredibly strong. It essentially deals 4 damage to leaders every time a Suicide Squad recruit dies. Now, the difficulty with that is it's very awkward to get the right board state where you can be trading things in and getting Bloodsport value. But again, I think that's largely because of the lack of critical density of Suicide Squad recruits. I think they just need some more for Bloodsport to really, really shine. And I think he has a lot of the same problems as Rick Flag, although Bloodsport lives in the same faction as a lot of Suicide Squad recruits. I think Bloodsport will be good if Suicide Squad gets more support and if they get more recruits printed. But for now, he's like a B tier card that wants to be A or S, just not quite there yet. And finally, we have King Shark, who I think is honestly quite underplayed. I think it's more so that a lot of Anarchy tends to be more aggressive, so King Shark doesn't get played because of that. A lot of Anarchy decks don't really want to be running a lot of golds or getting into gold turns too much. But I think King Shark's ability is very solid. he essentially has like endless speed not going face as long as there's damage stuff on the board. And just being able to use this as like a removal spell, or since he has Hunter, if there's something damaged in the back row that's being blocked, he can kind of snipe that. I think he is like another probably top of B-ish card. I think he's underrated, but I still don't think he's quite in this top tier. I think all of these B tier cards could potentially ascend if Suicide Squad got a little bit more support. But I think they're stuck in B tier because, you know, with a essentially 9-card mini set, because Zod was one of the cards. It was 9 cards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 9. All right. With a 9-card mini set, with Zod being one of the cards, you can't really build enough support in there to really get that critical density you're looking for. And they did add the Suicide Squad tag to a lot of recruits. But ultimately, right now, there's not enough Suicide Squad recruits. So even if you go in on Suicide Squad, you're still kind of making it a hybrid inmates deck, because you need the inmates to kind of help carry the load until there are more Suicide Squad recruits. But yeah, this is the tier list. Let me know what you guys think, if there's any shuffles you would make to the rankings. I would not fault you if you wanted to see Starro. I mean, like, you could maybe even make this swap, and I would not fault you at all. And I could see the argument for some of these guys in B tier going up or down. But as a whole, I think I'm pretty happy with this list. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. Thank you all so much for watching. Looking forward to getting into the new season content very soon. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.